Welcome back to the show. And by the show, I mean the podcast, the writer's block. That's what it's called. I'm Todd. That's Andy. I think I don't know. It's on one of these sides. I don't know what it'll look like on the.
I think on YouTube, like I'm on the right, you're on the left on my screen, and it flips.
Huh. Well, just in case, he's on one of these people over here is Andy. I couldn't tell you who because I'm not able to disclose that information. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So what are we talking about today? I guess we're talking about writing, aren't we?
I mean, that's usually what we tend on doing: our own writing, other people's writing.
Yeah. Although before we do that, shout out to the first person to purchase our merch. One might say that they are the biggest fan of the writer's block. Now I don't know if he's watching or he's not watching right now, but he will be watching soon. I don't know. This isn't live, but I keep pretending like it is sometimes. Taj, if you are listening, we appreciate it, bud.
Thank you, Taj.
What a guy. Leave a comment and just say, thanks, Taj. You're the man. Tell him he is the best. World's biggest fan. All right, now
Right now he is the world's biggest fan.
yeah, very true. He's marketing. This guy's marketing my books and my website more than I ever have.
He's doing the same thing to me. Well, he asked me how my book is going, and I go, "What book?" And he just laughs because I realized it's like I don't tell anybody that I'm really writing a book, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I mentioned it on the podcast a lot."
Yeah, a couple times. Speaking of which, have you made any progress?
I have. I'm on page 10.
10.
Actually, well, sorry, 9, because I have a title page.
Oof.
So well, it's page 9.
I mean, that's still a page. And there's always that first blank page, so we're probably on page 11, technically.
I was working on it before we started today, actually. I got the whole 3 sentences in before you sent me the Zoom link. So I was like, okay.
Well, do we need to close the show early? Because
no, it's okay.
If you have that magic and you have that momentum, you gotta keep going.
There wasn't a lot of momentum. I still kind of have it, so I think I'll be okay for later on today. Right, once we stop recording.
Second question. This is a very important question. What are you drinking? Is that like rum and coke you got there?
Yes, it's Vanilla Crown and Coke. Publix Cola.
I didn't know that we were drinking. I mean, I would have grabbed a drink. I mean, all I've got now is, room temperature coffee.
I would prefer coffee, actually. I am very tired.
Oh, fair enough. Well,
this was like, no, I was gonna say this was a last minute, like, oh yeah, I saw it. Kind of. I haven't done it in like a week, so I was like, oh,
fair enough.
One won't kill you.
True.
It might. I don't know.
I mean, if you inject it into your heart, it probably would.
Yeah.
But that's a very outlandish thing.
I don't know how to do that anyway, so I think we're okay.
It would be easy. You just need a needle, a syringe or whatever.
That is very true.
Yeah, and I don't know why you would do it unless you wanted to.
I don't know why you would want to do it anyway.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. How did we get here?
I don't. Well, because you asked what I was drinking, and then it spiraled into injecting it into my heart.
Yeah. I'm sure that there's probably a good story to be made out of that.
I was gonna say someone could.
Yeah. I was brokenhearted, so I injected alcohol to the only place that needed it, and then it killed me.
Yeah, so it would definitely not be a first-person story. It could be a second-person story.
Could be. You injected alcohol into your heart. Are you stupid?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Oh man, that would be an interesting second. I mean, I don't want to.
It would. Yeah, I don't. It would. It would be something. It would definitely be something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were What were we talking about earlier? Something about titles or something like that?
Titles, yeah. I guess
Yeah.
I was trying to
Come up with
come
one.
up come up with one for my novel,
Yeah, yeah.
and because the one I've always had in the bank, like since we've started, like since I had this whole idea
Death.
in the back of my head, was Murder in the Mountains, and I was like, that's not gonna.
I mean, I don't mind it. I kind of dig it, but it does have that sort of aura of cliche to it. I'm not
It
gonna lie.
does. It really does, because I've definitely seen a title or two that had that. I was like, all right,
What if?
it's
What
just
about? How about this? Death in the Adirondacks.
that's definitely been a title.
That would be a title.
That's definitely a title somewhere.
Well, here's a question. So, you recently came up with a title for your collective short stories that were
I did,
previously
and
known
that
as the Irrational Series. So,
uh,
let's go. Tell us the process that you went through of creating that title,
it
if you
wasn't
want.
a very. It wasn't. I can go through it because it was very quick.
Oh yeah, I'll be honest. I don't remember exactly what the title was.
Time,
Time.
which it doesn't really fit, but I was, I was actually crunch. I was on a time crunch to try to get it out
Oh,
at a timely manner.
fair enough.
So I was. So when you pick, I always like to have like a picture next to the for all my stories that I have.
Yeah.
So Wix has pictures, yeah, pictures by Wix or something where you can Google or you can search what you think you want, and then they give you like images that are for free. So I was looking, I can't remember what I was looking up, and then I happened to see a watch like that picture, and I was like, okay, this works. The picture works for kind of what.
You know what would have been good was like a bloody watch on the ground on the road.
See, that's too specific. That's way too specific. No, well, to look it up because that won't pop up in like the search bar.
Well, you just get a watch, squirt ketchup on it, throw it on the ground.
I don't have a good enough camera.
Yeah.
I feel like my iPhone 8 Plus does not have the best camera quality.
One of our earliest supporters, JP.
That is true. See, but again, I don't think he would be drop everything, come over here to where I live, and take a picture.
You'd be surprised. But anyway, so you came up with time as the overall
title because it works, but it could be better. Yeah. Because you're kind of going through a time frame in your life and then the other person's life separately, but then it all mashes into one at the end. So I was like, okay, this is like I honestly can't give you any bullshit.
Yeah.
Like to come up with
deeper meaning. Nothing like timing was bad for both of them to
timing. I guess timing is everything.
Or not enough time to. Yeah.
I definitely could go with that. The timing is everything part.
Big title, make up a story afterwards, or make up a connection afterwards. I mean, yeah. I've done that. My last book was a song title because I couldn't come up with a good title, and it worked.
Yeah. So I mean, unless someone blatantly hates the title, I think it works. It's better than the Irrational Series only because I wanted to keep the titles for each short story in there instead of like creating this one document that just kind of like was broken down into subsections. I felt like it was easier to follow and understand. But I've gotten, I think, 13 views on that. So thank you to the 13 people that follow or to looked at it.
It was probably if I had to guess, it might have been Taj, and he had 13 tabs open on his computer.
It was not Taj, or it might have been Taj once because I get the places of like where people like were reading it from.
Yeah.
And well, for one, I figured out where Taj quote unquote lives without knowing where he lives because
it's in Florida.
It is in Florida, and it popped up. The city popped up at like 12:30 in the morning. I'm like, Taj, is this you? He goes, how do you know? I'm like, because someone told me that you found out my website. He goes, yeah, it was me. Okay.
Yeah, it was
but
me.
like, because most of the time when it pops up in different states, I can take a guess, but I don't know for sure. Could be a family member, could be a friend. It's one time if someone popped up in what was it? Las Vegas, and I was like, what the hell? I don't know anybody in Las Vegas that I'm aware of. Oh yeah.
You ever get I mean it's a possibility, but you ever get people from out of the country? You know, from maybe Canada?
Canada once, yes.
Yeah.
But I know people in Canada from college. I was gonna say, but anyway, so I was like, okay, definitely for my novel, I don't want to rush the title, but I don't really know. Like we spent the whole episode on titles and how we think we talked about definitely my professor in college said you write 10 and 9 out of the 10 don't work, but the 10th one, usually works. It's if you're lucky, and then you have to do it. Then you got to start the process over again. But
sometimes it's for me, like my first few novels, everything, technically I've only written 3 novels, so like first 2 and then like little short ones in between, like an idea came pretty quickly, well, mostly quickly, but for the last one, I just could not come up with a title that really encapsulated everything that I wanted in the title. So I ended up kind of technically settling for something else. But like that first book, Fairly Human, it's good. Like it draws on the idea that, these zombie-like pharaohs might still have some humanity, or there might be some kind of in between. And it's a concept I wanted to explore further and never really got a chance to. But one day I want to write that sequel.
So, I realized I have 3 months to write my debut novel, and I was like, oh shoot, this is going to be interesting.
Time to crunch.
Well, I think now I've kind of like gotten back into that writing mode. I mean, this last book helped that I just read, because it was a different author, so it was a whole different perspective and how they did things. I saw what I can do better, but also like the way I write now, because some of it was too long, unnecessary details. Like the book was 400 pages. I don't think it needed to be 400 pages. And the way he broke up the different perspectives was easy enough to follow, but it was within the chapter, so it was kind of confusing. But you really you'd have to focus in a little bit more. But other than that, I thought it was and then it got a little boggy in the middle, but the ending was good. But it kind of left you on a cliffhanger to definitely see there's probably going to be a no book, because it's in a series.
Yeah.
Same character's been in like maybe four books. I've only read one other one. And it was like in the middle of the series, maybe 5 books. I don't know. But you could definitely, how you don't have to read some books in order to kind of understand the philosophies and everything, but it'd be beneficial to do so. Definitely this one, because they were talking about killing off this lady who ran, sorry kids, I'm about to swear, but a titty bar who then they like a different cop killed her, and in the process the main character got shot. So you're like, okay, I want to go back and read how that all entangled. And then he also is married and has a kid now, and that wasn't a thing before. So it just kind of piques your interest to go back and like reread it, or not reread it, but start start from the beginning. But that's how
I'm just caught up on using that language on live television.
Sorry, Mom. But
I hope Taj wasn't watching.
So, because I know you said you wanted to start a series that you didn't have to read in order.
Yeah,
technically,
that's the one that I'm working on right now.
So, but would it be more beneficial to read them in order, or
yeah,
would you drop hints?
Like, because it'll exist in the same universe, the same world,
mm-hmm.
it will provide more, like it'll provide a little bit more context, a little bit more history. The idea is that over the course of these 3 books, you'll see the progression of, well, society, technology, and then also like the sort of dystopian aspect of it all. You'll see that kind of grow over the course of the 3 novels. I honestly have no idea how it would end. I mean, I'm still in like very, very like early broad stages of planning it out, but the idea is that they all interconnect, but they're all set decades apart. So like one is a sequel, but it's not a direct sequel. It's kind of like how you can watch Jurassic World, but you don't need to see Jurassic Park to see it. Like, same universe. It's not even technically a reboot. It's just it's technically a sequel, but it's not a direct sequel to any of the previous ones. It just exists in the same universe.
So this is, it's kind of, that series is kind of the same way, but when you drop details from previous books and you're like, oh, I don't remember reading that, you kind of take a step back from what you're actually reading and trying to remember or figure out what the hell happened. Mm-hmm. And now you're curious about what happened previously than what you're actually reading right now. Like, I caught myself reading half a page, wondering about something like that previously happened in a different book that I didn't read. Mm-hmm. And then I had to reread like 2 paragraphs to catch up again. I was like, oh, whoopsie.
Yeah, like for the series I'm working on, like, odds are like you won't see any characters like from the first book in the second book, because I think like the first book takes place in like 2060, but the second book is going to jump ahead probably close to 100 years into the future, and then the third book might not be 100 years from then, but it'll be pretty distant. I may end up combining the second and third book, to be honest, but they both books will kind of have different themes and different messages, but will still exist in the same dystopian universe, basically. And so but yeah, like they'll be connected, but not so much that you can't read them. I can't read them out of order, I guess.
So like you're not gonna because these characters appear.
You should read them in order, but like you don't have to read the first one to understand what's going on in the second one.
So these characters appear like they're not reused characters, but they're the same set that have like driven this main character storyline from the beginning. So it would make sense to read them in order.
I might have one character that like gets some sort of like life-altering surgery that allows them to live until the age of 200, but I do want to kind of play around with because like it's technically like it's dystopia, but it's also science fiction, so I could really kind of go crazy on future tech. Not to mention like the first book's 2060, so we'll have a certain amount of technological advancements in that year. But of course, like all that is surrounded by political crises and climate shit, all sorts of dystopian things. Corporate takeovers and stuff like that. Like part of the idea is part of like the background story in the first book is that the state, like the government, sort of kind of starts to get more and more merged with multinational corporations, and the idea is going to be further explored in the second book, where you have basically like I don't know how to describe it other than as a corporate state, where it's the same government technically, but it's run by somebody who also runs this mega corporation, which is technically in the first book there's a few different corporations, but by the second book they've all merged to form this super powerful corporation. And it's, like I said, still doing some development on that. But I don't even know like who the main characters are. Like it's just I want this book to come out. I want the first book to come out next year, but I don't know. I'm having a tough one on this one. I might just write a sequel to my first book, to be honest. But
well, this brings back to, I wonder if after reading Hatchet, since there's like 10 books after that or whatever, I wonder if you have to read those in order to understand the whole. I mean, you definitely have to read Hatchet first to understand what's going on.
I mean, I think,
don't you think?
Probably. I mean, I think he wrote prequels to that book and then multiple sequels. And I think that there are sequels that like are written. So I think there's sequels that decanonize other sequels. So like, I mean, I can't remember. I haven't looked at this in a long time, but I want to say there's one or two books that like ignore a few of the other books that came before it. Kind of like how like with the Halloween movie series where they're like, oh yeah, we made the first 2 or 3, and then we decided to ignore the second and third one. We made 4, 5, and 6. Then we decided to ignore 4, 5, and 6, and we had 7 and 8, and then the 7 and 8 ignored everything else. And then 9 came in and ignored everything after 2, and it was like there's all these movies or stories that are not even connected, but they're like alternate universes in a way, which is kind of a mess, to be honest. But
because they had, I can't remember the main character's name off the top. I can't remember the main character's name off the top of my head, but they had.
Hold your thought, because
okay, you have. I forget you have that book.
I never leave home without it. Guess what's on the cover?
That's shocker.
Brian Robeson.
Because they have Brian's Return, right?
Yeah,
in there somewhere. And it's not the second one. It's like the third. It's like the fourth or fifth one, I think.
I'm sure it says it on here.
I wonder if that's what I need to read next. I'm in between books right now.
There's a Q&A in the back of this. Was Brian a real person? Answer: I made him up.
Wow. That's such a deep, thought out answer.
It's interesting, Gary.
Unless the question came from like a sixth grader, then I apologize.
Probably did. I mean, this is a children's book. Here you go. Here's some inspirational thoughts from Gary Paulsen. Rest in peace. Write every day, every single day. No excuses, no exceptions. If you want to write, you have to read every single day. No excuses, no exceptions. Keep your pen on your fingers. No, keep your pen or your fingers on the keys moving. That sounds weird. Don't worry about being good. Just get words on paper. You can fix it later, but you can't improve what never made it to the page in the first place. Set your writing aside for a while. You need the perspective of time and distance from what you've written in order to see where you can improve. I always have a couple of books going at once so that I can focus on something else and give myself a break. Don't give up. Don't you ever, ever, ever give up. Hatchet was originally rejected. I sent it to another editor. Some parting thoughts from our good friend of the show, Gary Paulsen.
That would have been.
If I knew that there were quotes in the back of this book, I would have said it that day that he died. But I
too bad that we couldn't get him on the pod.
Yeah. Hey, you remember what this plane looked like? Hey, there you go. Look at that. That's the plane. I assume. I mean, maybe not.
Yeah.
Here's a bird. I'll be honest with you. So I read this book in elementary school, and then I bought this sometime later just because I wanted, I don't know if it's weird, but I like having some of the early books that I read in my childhood as like in my formative years just to have on hand. I've got this. I've got the City of Ember book. I have the City of Ember, a book that I read back in like 4th grade, which I thought was a pretty good book, and a bunch of other children's books, which I don't know if they're technically children's books, but I read them as a child, so I consider them children's books. But that's the only Hatchet book. I don't have Hatchet 2, 3, 4, Brian's Return, Brian's Driver's Ed Class, Brian's First Kiss, Brian's High School Dance. I don't have any of that stuff. But
oh, man.
Yeah, hopefully Brian made it to adulthood. I mean, all the crap he must have gone through.
I know.
He had like 8 airplane crashes.
Yeah,
something tells me he just was meant to be in the woods.
I think Into the Woods was the second book.
Really?
But wasn't it?
I don't know, but there's a book called Into the Wild.
Into the Wild. Yeah.
Yeah, he went to the woods.
We've talked about that one too. Doesn't come out of the woods.
Well, not on his own.
Not on his own. Still in a body bag.
Well, this got dark.
Man. Anyway, but oh god, now I lost the train of thought that I had.
Well, me too. So I'll just go right back to saying, hey Taj, if you're watching, thanks for buying that shirt. You're the man. What a guy. Oh, also, I'm sorry you had to hear the expletive language that Andy used earlier. I still can't believe he said that. We're gonna have to bleep that out.
We're gonna have to bleep that out.
Yeah, our show's gonna get canceled.
I do, taking away from that inspirational quote that you gave us a minute or two ago. I
didn't actually make it up.
The one thing I did like is having multiple like projects going on at the same time.
Yeah, well,
because at first I was like that. I don't like that because then you're not in the mood to do like you got so many tasks, or you're gonna become task saturated. But then, sitting back, it's like, okay, that's kind of what I've been doing. I had my novel, and then I did that whole entire Irrational series on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And then a bunch of other short stories. So technically, I could still do both, but my main focus should be my novel now because I have 90 days to do it.
Yeah, I would definitely also say that like it's good to have deadlines.
Well, if the 90 days is up and it's utter crap, I'm not going to be like, here, publisher, take this.
Yeah. Although, as Gary Paulsen said, might as well just write something. You can always go back and change it.
Yes.
But you can't change what was never written.
I think I should get that tattooed on my back. The whole quote.
I'm gonna get it tattooed on my forehead. I don't know, maybe not. It's a good quote though. I will say, like, I haven't written anything in probably like a week or so now, maybe 2 weeks. But
not even short stories.
The what?
Not even short stories.
Not even short stories. I've been working mostly on trying to come up with a story for my dystopia book because I've got a cool world and I've got a cool like world progression idea, of where things go and disasters that happen and political conflicts that happen, but like I still need like a figure, a protagonist to kind of like bring it through. And honestly, I've never had this difficult of a time writing a story, or just coming up with not even writing a story, but just coming up with a basic outline. Bad thing is if I can't nail this down, I can't write the story. But so the interesting thing is like I do have other projects that I've done outlines for, I've done world building for, that I could just hop onto that and work with that. I do have multiple sequels I wanted to write for that Fairly Human book that I could easily have out next year. But I was really leaning into this story or this series I'm working on. I'm taking a class on dystopia, starting next January. It's all supposed to feed into that, But maybe I'll get a story idea out of that. Who knows?
They probably will. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I know we're going to look at 1984 quite a bit.
Read that book in high school.
Never read it.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe even middle school. Actually, no, middle school. No, high school. Yeah. I read Animal Farm in middle school.
Never read that either. I've had the book for about a year or so. Just haven't had time to get to it yet, though. Now I'll have to read it. So.
Yep. Animal Farm, 1984. Okay, when I say read, I think I read some of it and then Spark noted some of it, depending on how the mood I was in.
Yeah, I'm interested to read it and to kind of like dive into its key concepts, because by looking at that, I can better write a better developed world than my series. But so I talk with my hands a lot. I don't. I never thought of
not any more than I do.
Well, that's good. But yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes, you know, like I don't often get writer's block, writer's block, the writer's block. But yeah, today or this past month, it's hit me with this story. But we'll see. I'll make it work somehow.
Like that's with me and well, I did decide that my town is going to have a mayor plus a council, you know, the common council.
So is it going to be like a strong mayor council government, or like a weaker mayor council government?
I haven't gotten that far yet. I don't like when it becomes.
I'm just messing with it. Most people don't even realize that there's actually a difference. That's a thing, you know.
I knew that. I've heard of that. I think you might have mentioned it because you know it.
I've taken a number of classes on local politics and urban politics.
Why don't you explain that to everybody listening?
So this is going to be really boring, so I'll make it quick.
Remind me, because
right.
I think I have an idea, but I'd like to be proven either correct or incorrect.
All right, so in a strong mayor system, which most big cities have, they kind of have more executive powers. They don't have to have everything ratified or like checked off by the city council. But when it comes to weak mayor forms of government, it's the other way around. So the council has a lot more power over the mayor. Like the mayor can't just unilaterally do things. Like they can't just do they can't just make a mandate, or just like they couldn't just do some kind of plan. They couldn't, like, they basically, like, in that situation, in the weak mayor system, mayor can't do anything without the council's approval. They can't appoint people, stuff like that. So that's why they call it a weak mayor system, because they're more of a figurehead than anything. The council's got all the power. That's why I think most cities are strong mayor. You know, like the city we live in, New York City, all the big cities. So with a small city, maybe you can do that. Also, like, does it even serve the story, or does it really matter? You know,
I mean, it definitely would. Right now, it's a 50. I think it would be 50-50. It's, I mean, like in the middle sort of thing. I know you can't really have it in the middle, but right now, I'm not going to have, like, at least this story, you're not going to have this big political choice that needs to be made, you know, like through a vote or through the strong or weak mayoral or council, whatever you call it, you know. I mean, the only reason it's really popping up is because I have a scene coming up where I don't even know. Actually, this is a good question for you and everybody on the pod to answer. All these listeners out there. I'm in this scene where this the chief of police has never done a press conference before. So the council people and the mayor are like, you got to say, like, we're going to write out this statement for you. You know, try to be professional, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're overreacting. I'm having them overreact only because they're nervous and they're having second thoughts. They should have had, like, the second in command. Some of them are like, the second in command should have been, you know, chief of police because he has more knowledge and all this other stuff. Well, this guy was a sheriff in Florida and whatever.
Yeah.
Never really was in charge of anything. So, I mean, he is, but he's not. At least they don't think he could handle running a small town police force. Anyway, some of them don't. Anyway, so I'm building up to, like, this press conference that realistically it's important because you're showing the face of the composite sketch of the girl they just fished out of the lake. Spoiler alert.
Yikes. Sounds like Twin Peaks.
So, and they're trying to get it out to the, like, you know, the national media or whatever. So I'm building up the hype to see what if the sheriff or the chief of police can do it like properly. But then I was thinking about it today, is like, do I need to go through that whole press conference scene, or can I skip over it? Then if that's the case, I have to come up with the statement that I feel like he has to say, or and the reader has to read what he's going to say without messing it up.
Yeah, I mean, I would include it.
Okay.
That's my, of course, the audience might have a different opinion. Taj might have a different opinion, but I would say go with it, or go for it, because in many ways you can use it for an exposition dump while also still moving the story along, and like if it's building up to that moment, then that's like, it would be weird if like you spent like several pages building up to this moment where with the mayor and city council, they don't believe in him, and they should have gone for the second guy, but
yeah,
like this would be a big moment for him, like, because whether or not it goes through well or not, like it shows
he has to just basically memorize and go over what the councilwoman or the councilman and the mayor of, like,
there's no woman.
There is two women, yeah, actually, but they have come up with, like, I guess, like, collectively as a group, what for him to say, basically. Like, he's not allowed to make a statement without their approval first, is what.
Yeah, but by having it included in the story, you can show that he got through it without any issue, or if there is an issue. Okay. It's like if he sneezes right in the middle of it, or I don't,
has to shake or something. There's no COVID in this story.
I see. The alternate reality.
The alternate reality.
Yeah, but the alternate reality where the world killed the virus in a matter of weeks.
The alternate reality where it never existed, because that's where people tend to go to, like I tried to go to when I'm reading this, like pre-COVID world. Like, this new book was either pre-COVID or just they just didn't include it. It was just a normal day.
Fair enough. Did you ever specify in the book what year it is?
Mm-mm. I just assume, unless it's important. Contemporary. Yeah. Unless it's important, like the mystery is taking place in like November, then it hops to January. Well, even I'll say January of the next year.
All right. I like that idea.
Because, I mean, for you, it's important.
Sometimes.
Like, this one is, it started off in July, after the 4th of July holidays.
Okay. Somebody partied too much then.
What?
So the book starts after 4th of July?
Yeah.
And then somebody died?
Well, it's not. Well, it starts off after the 4th of July. Like, it's like the middle of July.
Never mind.
Fun fact, if you read the prologue, you would understand. You would kind of...
I don't think I've read it yet.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how. I've read so much. I'm so sorry. I'm the worst fan.
It's okay. You're good.
But Taj read it.
Maybe, I don't know.
Sorry. I'm going to bring him up like 10 more times.
Okay. But anyway, I don't want to give away the prologue. I don't want to give away like stuff. I mean, there's only 10 pages of stuff, but I'm also slowly fleshing out like the characters a little bit more, giving like little paragraphs, not too much, but a little bit more to understand. I've did the chief and the second command so far. Now I got to do the other two, like give them scenes as well. Actually, now that I'm saying that, I got to delete what I have written down so far today and start off something different.
Well, that's unfortunate.
That's okay. I only have 3 sentences written, so it's okay. But now you see, it's good to talk it out, out loud to
either it can help
people or I guess yourself if you really want to do it to yourself. But
it's one way to do it. I do think it's good to have multiple eyes on projects. I feel like for my works, the ones that I got help with editing, like I was able to see different perspectives on my story that I might not have considered otherwise, or things that I assumed were evident or implicit, I guess, or whatever, but wasn't. So
point proven was when you read Irrational first time, and you thought it meant it meant was something about what you say, killing.
Oh, I thought that's the so it seemed like the main character was had either was just went through a pretty messy divorce, or somebody died, or maybe one of the idea was that he might have like his family might have died in a drunk driving accident or something like that. Because I think the character was drinking in the 1st story.
Yeah.
So like maybe he driving his family had been drinking and killed them, or maybe I don't know, something along those lines. Something horrible had happened, something devastating.
Then you realize it was just a breakup.
Yeah,
it was just
it's like he got dumped.
He got dumped.
Or one way or another. But no, it wasn't. He did the dumping, right? Or was it like, I forget exactly. My memory.
I don't know if I ever gave like an explicit what happened to like.
I don't think so. One more story. One more story.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like with that. I'm content to like.
Yeah,
I like the way it ended, and I didn't like, even in the whole series, I didn't include the journal entry that I released. That was like separate because I felt like it didn't fit within how I had like how the flow of the series, the stories I had. Without it, it didn't like, I guess, fit properly within it. So it was like an extra sort of side note story.
Interesting.
I don't know. I just didn't like the way I inserted it one place and I was like, I don't like this. And then tried a different spot. I was like, no, I don't like this either. And then just said, nope. Okay.
Fair enough. I've been there before. Sometimes you gotta.
But if you want to read it, go ahead. It's journal entry. That's what it's called. That's the title.
Journal entry.
Released that today. It's New Year's Eve today. So Happy New Year to everybody out there.
Yeah, hopefully 2020 is 2022 isn't as bad.
Dismal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so we're recording this December 31st, just like hours before we go on air. Betty White
died. Now it's just like
weeks away from turning 100.
That just puts the exclamation point period dump all into 2021 right there at the end.
Yeah. Happy New Year's. Yeah, it's yeah. It was funny. I had just seen an article had popped up on either Twitter or it was on like one of the news sites, and it was like she's been building up this there's supposed to be there was going to be a big like 100th birthday thing, and she was doing all these like press things. One of the things was it was like what I've done to live this long, or something like that, like 10 things to do to live forever. And I'm like, the very next day it's like,
oh god,
rip. But
I did see one press release that said like dead at 99, like Betty, like Golden Girls and another show that she was in, and it said dead at 99. I was like, okay, you could have used that phrase in so many different, like reworded that phrase, because usually when you say dead at whatever, it just sounds, I don't know, the way it sounded
blunt.
So blunt, like someone got shot or stabbed or something like that. Like I saw other press releases, has died, passed away, not dead at whatever.
It's funny. I saw that she was trending on Twitter, and I thought, oh, well, it's just another one of those things. For some reason, she trends on Twitter a lot, and so usually it's like, don't worry, she's still alive. And I was like, I clicked on it just because I was like, I just better make sure. And then it's like dead at 99. I was like, this is a prank. And then it was just real, and I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Born in 1922. That's amazing to me. But yeah,
I can't see myself living to 100.
I I mean, shit. I don't. I mean, you actually might. I mean, you live a pretty healthy lifestyle. I mean, I can at the very least you're going to make it 80s, 90s at least.
I don't know if oil and garlic is the healthiest of lifestyles.
Listen, they say a Mediterranean diet, active lifestyle, they'll hit 120. You're going to be like one of those old Italian guys that's like, I remember the younger days. Things were simpler. I could go to the gym as I please, but now I can't even use the bathroom. But, you know, I guess I'll be happy if I make it into my 70s.
Okay. Driving past all the death that we just talked about for the last 3 minutes, would you use...
I often think about my impending death. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Would you use, I guess, an older, wiser, I guess technically wiser character in a novel to try to like help push a young protagonist that you have in a story? Or
I mean, yeah, I guess. So in my first book, the main character worked. So in the first book, the main character is kind of helping in this. I guess I would call it it's called the Florida Provisional Government. It was, you know, post-apocalyptic stuff. Anyways, the idea was that he was helping this new government try to like help people in the state and help kind of like build itself up and protect against the pharaohs that were attacking them and stuff like that. And so for a lot of that, he was getting guidance from this older guy who was a senator. I can't remember if he was a former senator or a current senator, but he was, you know, part of the process. He was, you know, experienced with governing. It's well, maybe not governing, but just the process, you know. And so in that case, yeah, you know, but depends on the character, what they're going for. Some characters might hear somebody like that talking and be like, well, you're old, things are different.
So I don't know if I'm going to include like a parent or parents in like to help push forward the main character at all in my books. It's not something I really thought about, but now that we talk about it, and I've thought about it in the last couple of days too, I think about now that I've worked on my novel a little bit more things popped up, and it's like, should I actually outline stuff before I continue to write?
I would advise it. I think outlines, it's like outlines to me are like it's like a GPS. You know, you get that marker off in the distance. Sometimes you can take an alternate route. Sometimes you can stop somewhere else along the way, but you still have a path to where you're going.
Well, see, I know how it's gonna. Like, I know the final scene.
You know the final scene, but how do you get to get there? You need that GPS marker.
Yeah,
you need that. You need to see you're taking, you know, I-75.
I just was never. I never used outlines in school, so it just.
Well, here's the thought. Outlines. I mean, this is up to you, but outlines might make it easier for you to actually, because like you know, for a novel at least, as opposed to just short stories. But for a novel, it might make it easier for you to progress with your novel. Because then you have.
Maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll write that scene that I have thought about. Like
start with like a really like basic outline, not detailed at all. Like just like, you know, one page, a few bullet points. This happens, and then this happens, and this happens, and then this happens, and this happens. And then start kind of like stretching it out, and then adding in, you know, sub plot points and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you'll have this general idea of how to get to the end. Because like
250-page New York Times bestseller.
Yeah, maybe, you never know. I mean,
that'd be a goal.
It could be. Believing is half the battle. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds good.
We gotta work on that.
Yeah. But I recommend it. You know, outlining it's a good way to organize what's going on in your story. And you don't have to stick with it. You can still adjust it. But at the very least, like you'll be able to say, oh, well, this is where I want it to end. And this is exactly how I get there, you know. Or hell, you could even, didn't mean to curse. Heck, you could even build back up from the ending, you know. Like, oh, well, this is how it ends. This is the final conflict. Well, how did that get set up? What happened right before that? You know, and then it allows you to construct the story, at least the framework of the story, and then you got a New York Times bestseller. Yeah, and then you'll get it super big, and you'll quit the podcast and
I don't think I'd quit the podcast.
Move to California, buy a mansion, and
not California.
No, back in New York.
New York, yeah.
Get a fancy apartment in Manhattan.
Just right in the center of the city. Just plop a big ass.
Over to the Big Apple. Get some pizza. Get a hot dog at Coney Island.
Oh God.
Having too much fun with this.
No, I don't. I don't know. Dream multi-million-dollar bestseller book money. Definitely have this big honking library / writer's room. Yeah. I don't know what the rest of the house would look like, but
yeah. If I got like a pretty good amount of money, like my plan would be, I want to spend 1 year in Manhattan, get some nice apartment, live there, travel around. Maybe it would, honestly, perfect world, become a writer for some show at NBC, you know, work at a Rockefeller Center. That'd be fantastic. Probably won't happen, but at the very least I can write in New York City I have a different setting, different atmosphere. Because like I've always lived in Florida, so you know, snow, I rarely ever see it. Got to do a lot of traveling for that. Snow, different geography, mountains, deserts, none of that. So live in New York City for a year, live in LA for a year, maybe longer. I don't know. LA's cool. I feel like maybe you live in the Midwest for a little bit and then maybe come back. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know where I would end up at, but living in those different environments would give me completely new perspectives that I could use to write with. You know, and that's kind of how I look at it. I mean, just traveling alone has helped to write a lot of my stories. So,
yeah. Ideally, I would be back at like
Idaho.
No, back at camp writing this because that would be the best sort of inspiration because you're there. But you can live vicariously through memories and pictures.
Yeah, you know what you could do? Go to your camp and take like a panoramic picture, like all around you, and then
I do have
posters to put all around your room.
I could do that. I don't know if Grandma would really enjoy the holes in the wall, though.
Just don't tell her about it.
She would walk in and be like, "Why are there holes in my wall?"
Tell her working on putting in a wall-mounted TV. A lot of wall-mounted TVs.
Well, just a surround, just a big movie theater.
Yeah, you gotta watch all the games. You know, the Mets are playing. You gotta watch the Mets.
This has gone off the rails.
Doesn't it always though?
It does.
What's another hour and 40-minute podcast full of rambling?
That's why it keeps it fresh.
You know who's going to still be watching at this time point though?
Taj,
the absolute what do they call it? What's it? BAMF? You know, the BAMF, badass mother.
Oh, so you're allowed. You just said the A word.
Yeah, well, you said something TV. Far worse earlier today. Okay, what you said, like we're gonna get this video is gonna get demonetized. We're not gonna make any money off of it.
That's a direct. That's what they call it in the book. Like it's better than what?
What do they say in the book?
I'm not gonna say it again.
Why? Is there something bad about it?
We're gonna get demonetized apparently.
I mean, we're not even monetized to begin with, so it's okay. You can drop all the bombs you say. Just no slurs, please.
No slurs. Yes, that'd be bad.
I know how it is up in the Adirondacks, but we're on the internet here.
Oh man.
Sorry, I can't help it. Something about saying Adirondacks is hilarious to me.
What did that start about a couple months ago?
That was like a year ago. But to be honest with you, when you first told me where you're from, like I actually wasn't sure what the heck it was pronounced like. I was like, You're like, I'm from the Adirondacks. I'm like, yeah, Adirondacks snacks. Sure. Okay.
Oh man.
But yeah.
I think that might be a sign for us to wrap up, unless you got something up your sleeve.
I'm afraid I've got nothing up my sleeve. I don't really have sleeves, to be honest with you. I mean, nothing up there. Not that I can. I mean,
You're not a magician, can't pull anything out of a hat.
Well, maybe
this face a sleeve.
Oh, what about a book? Oh, I'm also a magician.
Oh God.
Yeah, I guess that's that. I guess we'll wrap it up. Yeah, it's been a pleasant time. Thanks for watching, especially you, Taj, if you're still watching.
Especially you, Taj.
I'm you know what I'm going to do is on YouTube, I'm just going to label this episode Taj. Yeah, and
I can.
maybe he'll leave a comment. Maybe he'll be like, I don't know, never mind. Who knows? But yeah, thanks for watching.
Check out,
comment, subscribe. Check out his website.
Check out
Andy Escamara. Was it Andy Escamara or just Andy Camara?
It's Andrew Escamara.
Andrew What does the S stand for? Sheffield?
Yes.
Snowbird?
Soprano.
Sharky?
Yes, all those, and that's my middle name is Sheffield. I don't even know. Sheffield, Soprano, Sparky,
Sharky.
Well,
what does it stand for?
Stevenson.
Yeah, I was expecting something more Italian.
Yeah, I know you were.
Yeah, like Stromboli.
Check yours out at toddbyron.com. He's got some new short stories. Well, I don't know.
Now,
relatively new.
Yeah.
Keep on the lookout.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, like moving forward, I'll probably have more like supplemental material for my upcoming book. That seems to be what I've been mostly doing. Like I recently wrote what?
I was gonna say I recommend doing maybe like a side short story or two with your main characters. That's what I did, and it kind of helped me develop
that's kind of what I did.
Yeah, develop the world a little bit more.
Because I put out a story back, is it the early December, maybe November, maybe it'd have been October. My sense of time is gone. But it was a congressional hearing, and then the main character was talking to Congress about the need for action addressing climate change and then like wealth inequality, all political issues at the time. And that particular hearing takes place 20 years before the book, and odds are it'll never end up in the book unless I can find a way to make sense of it. But anyways, I've been stuff like that, you know, like congressional hearing. I just wrote a presidential speech announcement, I guess, for the same guy in 2060. He's like announcing he's running for president, and he's calling out all the issues of the world and issues of the parties. And I spent some time writing a history of the American political process, you know, after 2020, and some political changes that happened. Like, for example, there's a lot of talk about electoral college, and so in this world, to get rid of it in like 2030 something, and it allows third parties to have a bigger impact, and it ends into a decline of the current power. It's this whole mishmash of crap. But it's like I want to, you know, I'm trying to like make stuff like that and write it, you know, to kind of flesh out what's going on, and then I'm throwing that on the website, just, you know, for whatever reason, you know, just might as well get bits and pieces of it out there. I haven't uploaded that speech yet. It's actually weird. I didn't type it out. I used the speech to text or whatever on Microsoft Word. I spoke into this microphone right here, which you can't. Oh, there it is. Yeah, and that was kind of an interesting experience. Can't say I would do it frequently because it, you know, doesn't pick up everything, but I will write stuff like that.
I think I might
spoke for like 20 minutes.
I don't know if I think I might have like a short story or two, but it's not going to be as frequent for a little while. I feel like my main focus is in my short stories.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Because I thought about having a mini series, like a crime cop, sort of like looking back on all the cases that he had and talking about them. But we'll see. That or another second person story. Got to come up with a better idea than trying to get ex-girlfriend back. Well, technically your ex-girlfriend back.
Fine.
Well, it's you.
It's fine. It never.
Let's say
back. You. Yeah. I'm probably just focusing on my book for a while. To be honest, I was working on a really depressing, sad short story series, but then I was like, kind of sad and depressing. But maybe I'll go back to it. I do come up with random, stupid story ideas. Like I mentioned before, the short story on goulash.
Yep.
Where like I had a moment where I just I was having like a massive brain fart, and so I was like, hell, let me just make a story about this. Basically, dementia stuff. But I had another story I uploaded recently. I can't remember what it's about. Now, sometimes like it's weird. Sometimes I'll hear a song or I'll see something and I'll just think of a weird story. Not a weird story, but just a story. Like you know how you had your story with Rue and the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like moments like that will happen, and I'll just start spewing crap. And so I'll put that crap on paper and I put it on my website for someone to possibly see it. So
there you go.
That's my story. And with that, I suppose we'll wrap it up. I know we said that 10 minutes ago, but now I mean it for real. This is it. We're kicking you out. Have a great evening, a great morning, a great afternoon, great whatever. Stay safe. And we'll see you next time on whatever device and or streaming service you are currently using. Farewell.